Hello again, and welcome to MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Thank you for joining us once again. This week, we have co-owner of Old Glory D.C, Paul Sheehy. We have the new head coach of the San Diego Legion, John Manenti. Plus, we have Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City. The world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Let's get started with Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. John, hello. How are you? What do you have for us?
Oh, man, I know it's been 3 weeks since we've done a show together, but you have really let your hair grow out. What is the secret?
You know what? When you're on vacation, you just have to relax and let your hair down.
Well, Matt, I hope on your vacation away from rugby, you've been at least watching Dancing with the Stars and our girl, Alona Mar, cutting up a rug.
What's the update, for God's sakes?
The update is there's no show this week, but next week, 2-night special. She's doing pretty well. She's consistently getting 7s and 8s. She's wiping the floor of Danny Amendola and Dwight Howard, so I think she can go pretty far. And
she twirled her dance partner, which I think was a first. The female twirling the male dance partner. Awesome, Alona. Kick some ass. What else you got for us?
Well, Matt, I've got some question marks here about this whole Dallas Jackals dispersal draft that supposedly took place a couple weeks ago. Details are a little scarce, but from what I'm hearing, chatting with a couple of folks, that this draft wasn't exempt from the salary cap like previous years. So we may not see players moving around all that much or clubs fighting for players all that much. Though really? I do hear some clubs maybe trading some things for some salary cap consideration. So there's some big names out there. We'll see where they land. Sam Gala, I wonder where he's off to.
I think Sam Gala is San Diego bound. That's what my intel tells me. And of course, normally we'd be able to bounce things off Brian Ray, but he is tending to his ailing pop, and we wish him and his family well. But so we'll have to go at it on our own for the time being, John. So we got to tidy up these rumors. Another rumor I'm hearing is about a certain player with a French accent in Los Angeles. What do you have on that?
That is correct. Your boy Antoine Dupont has been running around training on the beaches of Santa Monica. Matt,
Whoa. Is that where he's playing touch sevens with Dallin Stanford?
I heard he's rounded him like a parked car.
Oh, God forbid. But that's exciting. That's exciting. And we can't confirm... we can't get confirmation on or any denials on whether or not Antoine Dupont is signing with the Rugby Football Club Los Angeles. And again, it's pending whether they get a nickname or not, and he approves it. This is all rumor and conjecture. Do you have anything to add?
No comment, Matt. No comment.
Okay, then that means it's true. That means it's true. If it's on this program and John Fitzpatrick doesn't know, then it's definitely not maybe possibly true. Next.
Matt, something I do know, and I know you're always looking for a good rugby job. They are hard to find around here, but the Seattle Seawolves are looking for a new rookie mascot performer. Matt, you going to apply for the gig?
Whoa. What happened to the previous rookie?
Well, Matt, that is a mystery, but that isn't the only rugby mascot mystery in MLR. I've got to know, Matt, have you ever gotten confirmation that New England Free Jacks co-owner Alex Magleby is indeed not Woodgie?
No, all I get is denials and a lack of confirmation. So I'm still chasing that one down. But I wouldn't be surprised if Woodgie showed up in Seattle. How about them apples? Next.
Matt, that is all I got for this edition. I'm just so glad to see it. I'm glad to see your hair is looking so good, too.
Oh, that never gets old. Again, that never gets old. Nice. Well, you know what? You're going to get no play with all that gray in your beard, okay? So, and that old hat, you look like Gilligan On that note, we got to take a break and come back with our first guest, Mr. John Manenti of the San Diego Legion.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. And we are back, and we have the pleasure of welcoming in the new head coach of the San Diego Legion, John Manenti. Did I get that right, John?
You're pretty close. John Manenti.
I just figured I'd try to make it something other than an Italian-sounding last name for some reason. John, kidding aside, I wanted to get your resume out there so folks at home can know who you are. It's a pretty impressive resume, and we'll get to the one big question that I have about this. But as a player, you were prop for Western Suburbs, Sydney University. Your coaching career included 3 shoot shields with Eastwood. And correct me if I'm wrong at any of these points. Then you went to the Greater Sydney Rams in the National Rugby Championship. You coached 15s, the women's program in 2010 in the Rugby World Cup. Then you transitioned to the women's sevens team, and then you went to the men's team. And if I've got this all correct so far, my big question is, how does a prop coach sevens?
Yeah, I got that question a lot. I think I was a frustrated 5'8" when I played, and I probably played too loose as a front rower. But one of the big things in sevens is the whole game is basically 15s on steroids in a way that everything is magnified. The speed of the game, the intensity, the skill level, and that includes the contact and the collision point. So I originally entered in as assistant to both the men's and women's programs for contact, collision, scrum, line out, breakdown, those sort of skill sets, which were sort of forward orientated skill sets. And
backs are allergic to.
And backs are allergic to. I think the game's changed a bit though. That backs are getting bigger than the forwards in some cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, so certainly, so that was my introduction and how I got into it, and then things evolved and opportunities presented themselves, and in that time I started to learn a bit more about the game, and I wisely always surrounded myself with people that knew a lot about sevens. So while I was working on the basics and the nuts and bolts of the game, I had good people around me with sevens nous and creativity that could add to the flavour.
But you made the transition to the MLR now after a good career in your home country. Have you lost your marbles?
I'll tell you in 12 months after I've spent a season there and I've been there. No, I'm really excited by the challenge. I sort of followed it. There's obviously been a few Australian coaches over there, and some have done really well. So we've sort of followed it more and more in Australia. There's been a decent exposure of Australian players coming over there and playing throughout the teams. I actually coached Mac Mason, who is one of the stars this year or the last few years.
Great season.
I coached him at the Rams. And so we've sort of followed it all the time, and we come over each year to LA for the sevens. So we sort of got a bit of exposure of certainly for me, some California, I suppose, some exposure to California and certainly some rugby there. So it's exciting. It's a challenge. I'm hugely motivated to get back into 15s after having a few years with the sevens, but I've sort of stayed working with my club Eastwood in a director of rugby role. So I've sort of been, still had, my finger in the pie there, and then sort of worked obviously at sevens predominantly, but really excited to get back into 15s and the challenge, I suppose. San Diego seems to be a really well organised club, one of the one of the strong clubs in the league, obviously, but they've got a burning desire to win a championship, and that's obviously my intention, as is every coach's intention at the start of the season, or before a ball's bounced.
Is there any truth to the rumor that you're going to be bringing Quade Cooper over as your fly half and Hooper as your flanker?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see, mate. You'll have to wait. That sounded a bit Eddie Jones, didn't it? No, it was no.
Least expected, mate. Least expected.
Well, you'll see our announcements when they come out, but no, flabbergasted by the amount of player agents from around the world that have been, ringing me and trying to get their players into the MLR. So there's a huge appetite around the world for players to come there. And certainly, certainly the early indications I have are really excited. I watched a lot of the games throughout last season. Or certainly, obviously, San Diego's games in particular, but really impressed with the standard. It's improved a lot over the last 3 or 4 years. There's been a huge spike in across all teams, and I think from what I'm hearing and sensing from some movement of coaches and players and personnel, that sort of thing, I think it's going to be a really competitive season this year across all teams.
And I want to go back to what you said about overseas agents and players ringing your phone about coming over. It can't be the salary that's the attraction. So what's the attraction?
Well, I think the weather in California is probably, San Diego weather is pretty
best selling
nice.
point.
Yeah, the beach is nice, and those sorts of things I think are pretty impressive. I think the fact that the rugby's starting to, like I said, people are starting to watch it and get impressed with it is really one of the things that they feel they can go there and not just sort of mark time till they retire, but actually play good footy, be part of a team. I'm always really keen to get guys that are competitive and want to be successful. The more competitive group we can get together, the better we're going to be. So, you've got an Olympics over there in 28. You've got a World Cup further down the road, and the whole country needs as many locals playing, as many Californian or every American-based kids picking up the ball and playing. So we've got to create an environment which is both successful because everyone loves to back a winner, and also entertaining because we're in a competitive market with other sports that are obviously got a fair head start on us with their supporter base and people wanting to make those sports. So, but that's all part of the big picture, I suppose.
Final question: your predecessor, Danny Lee, got the team to the dance a couple of times. Was always right there in the mix. Do you feel pressure to win a championship?
Yeah. Like as I said, that's San Diego's craving success and they want to win it. So, when I say pressure, no one will put more pressure on me than I will myself. To be winning titles, and that's I suppose what I've sort of pride my career on is being able to go and work hard and sort of maybe fly under the radar a bit and achieve our goals. So, as I said, every team's ambition at the start of the season is to win to win the title. We're absolutely got that ambition. How much work I have to do to get there until I get on the ground and spend time with the lads and start training and working that out. I'll probably revise how aggressive or ambition I can be with my ambition, but the pressure will come from me. Expecting performance, driving the lads really hard to work and said if we don't win, we're going to take a hell of a good team to beat us along the way.
On that note, John, unfortunately, we're out of time. I could talk rugby with you, I think, for hours. But I just want to point out it's Manenti, not Manenti. And I guarantee you, John, that somebody's going to butcher your name, despite as easy as it is to pronounce this year. But on that note, thank you, sir.
No, it's been a pleasure. And we'll catch up when I'm over there and catch up during the season.
On that note, we'll be right back with Paul Sheehy, co-owner of Old Glory D.C. after this.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? And we're back with Mr. Paul Sheehy of Old Glory D.C. Paul, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Paul, it's great to have you as well. But I think, full disclosure, we have to let the people that are watching know that you and I have an off-camera relationship. And quite frankly, I think it's time we told them about it. You sell cars. I have one of your cars.
I do.
And I couldn't be happier. So it's out. It's out there. Sheehy Auto Stores. I'm a big customer. I love the cars. Take that for how you will, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're near D.C., Maryland, or Virginia, you got to go to Sheehy Auto Stores.
Even if you're not, we'll be happy to deliver, Matt. So
that's right. They deliver like Domino's.
Well, hopefully you're happy, and we appreciate the patronage.
I am thrilled with my Volkswagen Taos, ladies and gentlemen. And you need service, you call Sheehy, boom, it's done.
I will say, since you brought it up, that we were having a conversation at our company, Sheehy Auto Stores, and the rugby community has just been incredible with its support. Obviously, we sell and service vehicles, and people outside of the rugby community within us have noted that. So it's really, it works both ways.
Well, it's a reciprocated support because Sheehy Auto Stores is all over the rugby map, helping out with all different kinds of tournaments and supporting organizations, and that's great. And, I do want to talk to you about some of the community stuff. And off camera, you said, well, it's not the most exciting stuff on the planet, but it depends on your perspective. And I'm a person that gets excited about this stuff. Tell me about the OG's off season.
Young Glory is our academy that's led by Ben Sema, former player, and Stan South, who also played with us. It's obviously led by Simon Cross, our head coach. And we have about 140 players that have joined are trying out for our high school academy. It's a U18, all boys right now. We will come back with a girls academy also. But the turnout's been very strong. And additionally, we just added a Old Glory Coaches Club season ticket. And the idea was that you pay $250 and you got inside Old Glory's coaching, whether it's the preseason, their WhatsApp chat, meeting with them, and just providing intel on our coaching setup. And surprisingly, we had 29 coaches already sign up from 23 teams. So we're real pleased with the efforts. Simon Cross is also doing one other thing. He has gotten with a lot of the local football teams and is teaching the safe tackle. We've always tried to convince high schools you need a rugby program. Well, this is kind of a different way of approaching that. Teach them the safe tackle, teach them the rugby tackle. They've got rugby players on their team. And then lo and behold, they've then said, hey, we're thinking about starting a rugby program after you've done that. So we're trying to find ways to work with the community. And, one of the things I think I mentioned to you is we met with the Commanders, who have won 3 games in a row, which is great to see, the power of winning. And, Dan Quinn, their head coach, was a coach in Seattle, and he actually came up and told Chris and I at a meeting that he teaches the rugby tackle. So we think there's something there that we can keep focusing on.
You're wearing a Golden Eagles shirt, and we spoke about this a little bit off camera as well. Tell me why, and tell me what you wanted to talk about.
Well, obviously, I'm a big supporter of 15s, but I'm also a supporter of 7s. I support both the men's and the women's team equally. And John Bobbitt started this, must have been, 8 years ago. I got involved with it probably 5 or 6 years ago. And obviously we saw the results in Paris, which I still think is one of the most incredible wins. I've watched it time and time again. Hopefully it's a tipping point for rugby in the United States. But I'm a believer that sevens is a great pathway for American athletes to learn the game and then come over to 15. So look, I think obviously we're ranked higher in the sevens programs of both men and women than we are in 15. So it's just it's a pathway that all schools should be open to looking at. And I think we're going to do really well at the LA Olympics, and I hope I can be there.
And Alona Mar, Dancing with the Stars, is just, it's just the icing on the cake. It's really helping promote the game. And, you're right. We don't know what the numbers will be, but there's an increase across the board, and it certainly can't hurt. But tell me what the Golden Eagles are.
Oh, they are a group of people. I don't know how many folks there are that contribute significant dollars to be leveraged for the sevens program. And, they work with USA Rugby. I know Danny Barrett is sort of leading that effort. Though we're actually I'm going to meet with him at some point. But the resources, they need the resources to help the team. And the Golden Eagles have been that avenue for them.
All right. So let's go league-wide a little bit, right? Unfortunately, you drew the short straw, and you're the first person that I've had to speak to about Dallas after they went down. What are your thoughts about the Jackals and the future of rugby in Dallas?
Look, I went to the Dallas game this year in Choctaw Stadium. It was really well attended. I thought it was a decent crowd, big stadium, good location. Disappointing to see. We reached out to a couple players and talked to them about it, and I think we're going to handle it the best way we can. This is never easy. The players are only going to go to teams that they want to go to, and I know where the process is being worked through. We have a couple players we're talking to, but unfortunately, the ownership decided that that MLR wasn't something they wanted to continue. And the last thing we wanted was this to drag out to November, December. Sure, they were trying to find other avenues to try and save the team. But look, at the end, we just had to make a decision as a league. We're down to 11 teams. I have never felt stronger about the ownership that we have. We have some excellent ownership. This is a major, major commitment. Most of the owners do other things. And, so you've got to be fully committed. And I'm fortunate that, Chris Dunleavy is my partner. We have some other excellent partners, but we are fully committed to Old Glory. We're fully committed to the DMV. We're fully committed to the pathway, growing American players. We had 5 players represent the Eagles at the PNC recently. We're very proud of that, and we'd like to see more. And we want to work closely with the national team. So it's a long way of saying that, look, we're 11 teams, and that's not what we wanted, but also we felt it needed to happen pretty quickly. There's other teams we're hearing about, but they're not going to be ready for the 2025 season.
And where do you land on the subject of associate partners? If you have a Columbus and they don't have the big bucks to do the franchise fee, can they come in as an associate and not have equity unless they?
Is this your proposal or is this the league's proposal? Is
this is my proposal?
Okay, your proposal. All right, so we're talking about your yeah. Certainly, we should look at all possibilities to bring teams in. They wouldn't be full members, and so that's for them to decide if that's what they want to do. But sure, it's a heavy investment. But every team now, currently the 11 teams, all made that investment and are full members. And okay, so that's where we are there. But is there an opportunity for 3 other teams to join that way? I think that's something the league will discuss as ownership.
I'm just thinking, and I'm not the greatest businessman on the planet, but I'm thinking if the original 11 just retained their equity and the other teams came in, didn't have any of that equity, is that a good or a bad thing in terms of commitment from that new entity?
I'm listening to your idea and reacting to it. But sure, there are locations around the United States that could make sense, that have a good rugby community, but maybe don't have the dollars up front. But as a league, we're going to have to decide on that.
I keep saying too that look across the pond. The Premiership's only got 10 teams, right? And they've gone through some stuff. I mean, that's what happens in professional sports. There's attrition, there's movement, there's teams that move, there's growth. And I'm pretty excited about the upcoming season. I know that you guys had a great season. You're coming back off of that. Now you got a good vibe going. And I think 2025 is going to be a good year for the league.
It will be really good for us, but only one thing, and you need to commit to this on air. My wife reminded me when I said that I was going on this show tonight. She's like, hold on. Matt is going to be the PA announcer for Old Glory. So when you came to that NOLA game, which was one of the better experiences, and I know I'm on your show and I'm saying this, but you did a terrific job. And
thank you.
I think it was one of the elements that was missing for us. And I was surprised you were that good, but you did a great job. And we of course, it was a really good environment. We got to do a lot better. That's what we have to do. We have to create a great atmosphere. I think that's really what we have to do. Is really focus on just building fans. I'll say one other thing for us. We moved around to 3 different locations, and we're really pleased with the Maryland Soccerplex. I think D.C. Catholic University was probably one of our best experiences. But one thing the Maryland Soccerplex has introduced us to is grass. And we didn't play anywhere else other than grass. We practiced on grass. We played on grass. Our player injuries were down dramatically. So for player welfare, we are going to make sure, our future is dedicated to playing on that type of turf. And we have a wonderful setup that we're looking forward to in 2025 with you leading the public announcing.
Well, I'll tell you what, the one thing that I took away from that experience is that the fans are hungry and they're responsive, which is, you can't pay for that. That's got to happen organically, and they're ready. They're ready. And I think it took them a while to figure out that this Soccerplex was as cool as it is. And now that they've had great experience, because you left them with your last home game was a great experience for those fans. Yeah. And as you say now, do a little bit more for them and have them happy that when they're leaving, they want to come back and bring somebody with them.
Yeah, and then we obviously helped put on the match at Audi Field, which is a spectacular venue, great turnout by the community.
Yeah.
And we expect to do more games in DC. We've had 3 test matches since Old Glory's been was founded, and we expect to do more of those. Because our community wants it. It's a really good rugby community here.
And just like that, we're out of time, Paul. So thank you to Mr. Paul Sheehy of Old Glory D.C. Thank you. Thank you to John Manenti of the San Diego Legion. And, of course, thanks to our pal John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning's Coffee Break. And thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the critically acclaimed The Rugby Odds. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. Tell your friends about us. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.